story, the house where they vanished. There are houses that never truly empty. You can board them shut, strip the wallpaper, smash the windows, but something clings to their walls, something that refuses to leave. The house where they vanished is one of those places. It begins, like many stories that straddle the line between crime and curse, with disappearances. The records go back nearly a century. In 1928, a traveling salesman named Daniel Meeks was last seen leaving town with samples in his case, heading west along the county road. His car was found a week later, parked crookily at the edge of a property just outside the town line. The driver's door hung open, keys still in the ignition. The man himself was never found. In 1947, two teenagers slipped away from a harvest dance, telling friends they were going someplace private. Their shoes were discovered in the same ditch, beside the same sagging fence. Decades later, their bodies never surfaced. In 1962, a mail carrier failed to complete his route. His satchel was discovered split open in the dirt, letters scattered, many soaked by the rain. They lay at the base of the same property. Each case had different investigators, different circumstances, but the same landmark, the old house on Grindle Road. A farmhouse, 2 stories. White paint long since flaked away, porch collapsed in on itself, windows dark and gaping like sockets. It was abandoned even in the 1920s, condemned as unsafe. Yet over the years, vehicles, shoes, bags, coats, and even bloodstains all pointed back to it. The sheriff's department treated the cases as crimes, because what else could they do? Missing persons, possible homicides, open investigations. But the files tell a stranger story. No bodies were ever recovered. No signs of struggle ever found within the house itself. Dogs brought to the site refused to cross the threshold, bristling and whining until dragged away. Theories circulated. A drifter, a killer who used the house as cover, a cult hiding in the rafters. None stuck, because there was never evidence of another person. Only the house, watching from the hill. And as the decades stretched on, the vanishings never stopped. College students dared each other to enter in the 70s. A few returned pale and shaken, speaking of staircases that seemed longer on the way down than up, of hallways bending in angles no carpenter had built. Others never returned at all. Their friends whispered but told no police, afraid of blame, until the missing posters went up anyway. In the 80s, an out-of-town trucker broke down nearby. His rig was later found stripped of cargo, trailer door flung wide. His logbook ended mid-sentence, the last line scratched as though the pen had been yanked from his hand. The final word, house. By the 90s, the property was infamous. Urban legends called it a murder den, a hideout, a black hole in the earth. Paranormal investigators set up cameras, equipment, reels of tape. None stayed the night. Their recordings showed only static, their clocks resetting to midnight, their batteries drained as if by thirst. One group left in a panic, abandoning thousands of dollars of gear. When they returned with police the next day, the house was empty, the equipment gone, as though it had sunk into the floor. The most chilling evidence comes from the files themselves, yellowed pages stacked deep in county archives. Each disappearance noted with the same finality. Last known location, Grindle Road House. Year after year, the names change, but the words do not. The longest gap is 5 years, the shortest, 3 weeks. The house does not sleep for long. Locals say the house is not haunted in the way others are. No woman in white floats through the windows. No chains rattle in the dark. It does not creak or groan or wail. It simply waits, patient as stone, drawing the unwary across its threshold. Some say the vanishings are sacrifices, though no one claims to know to what. Others believe the house itself is alive, its rooms digestive, its walls pulsing in hunger, swallowing those who enter whole. The strangest accounts come from the few who claim to have stepped inside and left again. Their words are fragmented, as though memory itself resists being put to page. They describe air too thick to breathe, dust that moves against the wind, staircases that end in walls, doors that open onto identical rooms again and again. Time moves wrong inside. Watches spin forward hours and minutes, while the moon outside never shifts. One man claimed he found his own footprints layered over themselves in the dust, circling endlessly, though he had only just arrived. Most chilling of all are the reports of hearing voices. Not ghostly wails or spectral moans, but ordinary voices, familiar voices, friends, family, the missing themselves, calling from upstairs, from the cellar, from just beyond the next door. Those who follow the voices are never seen again. By the 2000s, the property was fenced, boarded, declared a biohazard. The county tried to erase it, bulldozing the structure, filling the basement with concrete. But the house did not vanish. The ruins remained, jagged and skeletal, and still the disappearances continued. A surveyor, a trespassing photographer, a pair of hunters looking for shelter from the rain. Their trail ended at the ruins and nowhere else. Now the legend has grown teeth. Travelers passing through the county avoid the road entirely, detouring miles just to keep their wheels from touching its gravel. Locals cross themselves when speaking of it, as if the house can hear its own name. And the files still grow, each new missing person report echoing the old. What is the truth? Some cling to the belief that a killer still hides there, a bloodline of violence stretching across generations, taking advantage of the myth to mask their crimes. But the timelines don't match. The vanishings began before the sheriff, who first investigated, was even born. They continued after the house was supposedly destroyed. Too many years, too many bodies, too much silence. And so the whispers grow darker. That the house is not merely cursed, but a wound in the world, a doorway into something else. That each person who steps inside is not murdered but consumed, drawn into a place from which nothing escapes. That the reason no bodies are found is because they are no longer in our world at all. If you drive Grindle Road at night, you may see it still. The outline of the house rising from the hill, though no beams stand, no roof remains. Headlights catch its windows glowing faintly, as though something watches from within. The air grows colder, the radio turns to static, your clock falters near midnight. If you stop, if you step out, if you follow the pull of that hill, you may walk into the house where they vanished. You may breathe the stale, thick air, hear the familiar voices calling from upstairs. You may find your footprints already in the dust, circling, as though you have been there before. And when you do, you will understand why no one returns. Because the house is hungry, because the house remembers, and because you were always meant to be among the vanished.